We're out here, everyone's talking about climate change, and I have to ask, like, how did you get involved in just this discussion in general?
Well, I've never been so politically active as I am now since Trump got elected. I disapprove of everything he's done. Every other president has done something I liked. He's done nothing I like. I mean, every other president since I've been alive, at least, including Nixon, which is saying a lot because I thought he was bad until now.
Yeah.
Until now, yeah.
Yeah. So it was just this presidency that got you involved in the climate change discussion?
Well, no, I was already interested in it, but I wasn't as active as I am now because I'm real worried now. I think we have a problem. Yeah.
What's got you worried?
His attitude and everybody's scared of him. The Republicans won't stand up to him. Like, there's good people that are Republican and good people that are Democrats. It's just, they don't have a backbone. They're wimps, in my opinion, yeah. But anyway, McConnell and all the rest, yeah, there's very few that will stand up to him. So,
What was the tipping point for you in terms of everyone's shown so much information, they're presenting two different sides. Are you familiar with both sides of the conversation?
Yeah, I've kind of thought about I say there, but the other side, I've always been Democrat, but not as enthusiastically as I am now. Like, I wouldn't normally take time off work to be here. It takes a lot to do that, Everybody's busy, but I care, and I want not only a good life for me, but one for the future. And when I die, it's only going to get worse, in my opinion. And we've got a problem. Yeah, and the first thing that made me mad about Trump was when he tried to take away our public lands. That's my playground. I like to mountain bike, hike, snowboard, whatever, and I don't think it's unconstitutional. It's not his right to do other things with those lands. That's the public's decision, not his.
So you said we got a problem, things are going down. Your sign alludes to we're all doomed. Where do you think this is headed if nothing changes?
If nothing changes, we'll have mass extinction and war, famine, drought, etc. And it goes on and on. Displacement of people all over the world because of climate change. And, India is heating up, and where do you think those people are going to go? They're going to go move somewhere, It doesn't matter where they go, it's all bad, and other places too. Island countries are going to be losing their shorefront rapidly. They already have. It's happening now. Not in the future. It's happening now. Yeah.
So so you were kind of saying extinction's on the horizon. If nothing changes, as the sign says, we're all doomed. Ultimately, and in the questions that I ask people, I like to get down to the foundations. So ultimately, how are you defining this existence, this world? Where are you coming from in terms of saying, actually, this is a bad thing to do? What would you say to the reason why?
What's a bad thing?
Just that climate change, and this is ultimately going to cause all these terrible things. You talked about India. You said it was a bad thing and kind of talked about what was happening. But my question would be why? Why is that a bad thing? And that might sound silly, but yeah, I'm getting.
Well, I think that we need to think about our future, first of all. Not only ours, but our children's. I don't have children, but if I did, I'd be real worried, even more than I am now. I think if you have children, you should care. You should vote against Trump. whatever. I don't care who it is. Anybody but Trump. Anybody. Literally. Yeah.
Is that just like personal preference, or?
I think it's fact. I think he's just done nothing that's good. It's all bad. It's all bad. Everything Trump's done is bad. I can't even think of anything that every time I turn on the news, it's something bad that he's come up with and he says some of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. I don't understand why anybody would like that guy, but.
So, like preserving our, humanity, looking toward the future, actually being good stewards of the earth, and actually taking care of what's given to us is so meaningful for me. And the reason I was asking why is because I'm always curious, to see what our foundation is for the reasoning why. So, for example, our channel is called Worldviews In Conflict, and different worldviews are appealing to different. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this word. It's eschatology. Like the end of things, and so different religions. They're different religions that speak of like the end of the world, right? And as well as like different viewpoints and even like naturalistic, humanist philosophies that like this predominantly, I would say, would be proposing an end of the world from like a naturalist perspective. And so for me, I'm coming from a Christian worldview. And so stewarding the world is like actually like something that's actually a mandate from God. He actually, was like, preserve this world, and it's a gift. And that
our job, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Is that your foundation as well? Do you have a belief in God?
Yeah, I'm starting to doubt it when the Christian extreme right says things that I just can't believe they support, and they support things that I just can't believe why they would do that, why they would support those things. It makes me start to not want to be part of that group.
Just the Christian extreme right, but like in terms of like just your belief in God, it's wavering because of that?
My belief, it's just I don't want to be a part of that group.
Gotcha.
I no longer participate. I won't go to church because I can't find a group that even has a conscience. A religious group. I haven't.
That's an interesting.
They don't care.
That's a really interesting point you just made. That doesn't have a conscience. Do you believe we have a conscience?
Everybody should have a conscience. I mean, about speaking about an environment. We need clean air and clean water. It's a necessity. It's number one. Wow, what else is important if that's not? Yeah, there's nothing more important than that to me.
That's another.
Yeah,
that's another point. I think we do have a conscience, and it's God-given. He's actually the determining factor in that. If there is evil, then there has to be a good to determine like what is evil. It's like the negate, like it's good, but like a lack thereof. And so, with evil in existence and with like promotional change, I do believe that it is a mandate for humanity that we have to steward our earth in a way that actually honors it. And it's super meaningful for me because I have a justification for it, meaning that I actually have a meaningful justification, and that there's something outside of myself, not just my personal preference, not just my interpretation of the facts, but rather that God has said, steward the earth. And that's incredibly meaningful for me. And having a conscience.
I'm glad to hear it, because it seems to me that I look at what people, the way they vote and what they vote for. It makes me worry. It makes me worry about our future on this planet. Yeah.
So, is your conscience, would you agree, God-given?
No, but I think it's innate. Like, you'd be crazy not to have a conscience. Yeah, they're very enthusiastic. I like to hear people that care,
Yeah, absolutely.
If they honk their horn, that means they care, to me. I don't know.
Yeah, so a lot of this actually is like really, we're talking about justice, right? And determining that what is justice? And I would say, again, like for having a foundation for it from like a Judeo-Christian background, is that saying that justice is determined by God and that he actually cares about justice, and that, like, that we're all transgressors of the law. You've probably heard that before if you've ever ran in Christian circles, that God has a moral conscience.
Younger, more so. I've started to doubt the group that definitely the group that I was in, but I won't say which, but it's any of them really. I just don't like the way I'll just wait until Trump is no longer president, and maybe then we'll find some people will become more decent.
That'd be just, that'd be moral.
Yeah, if he gets defeated, yes, that would be moral. If people have any morality or ethics or any of that, they would vote against him. I can't understand why everybody isn't honking their horn. I just don't understand why anybody would, especially if you have kids. But it doesn't matter if you have kids. Like, we're all on this planet together, I just don't understand the way people think, But
Are you, so would you consider yourself to be a moral person?
yeah, I do. I try to do the right thing all the time. Not because of religion, just because it's the right thing to do, Treat people with respect and your planet as well. Yeah,
I mean, it's summed up in like when Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself, and also that was the greatest commandment, and then also love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, right? So if you're a moral person, would you say you're like in terms of like 1 to 10 on moral excellency? Because like good, there's 40 different definitions for good in the dictionary.
Absolutely.
And the number one is moral excellency. If you had to rank yourself 1 to 10, where would you be on that?
For morality?
Just as a moral person.
Above average, I mean, I'm not obsessed with it, I don't think. But
not perfect.
Yeah, nobody's perfect. I don't know anybody that is.
So, like, you've told lies?
Who hasn't? Yeah. I think you have as well.
I totally have, yeah. And, for example, I'll justify my reasoning here, but if you tell one lie, I would say...
into trouble, and then you have to cover up that one, and it just goes on and on.
Yeah, I would say you're a liar, right? If you murder one person, you're a murderer. If you lie once, you're a liar. So I'm a liar. I totally am. And then, have you ever stolen anything?
No, not really. I mean, little kids, some bubble gum or something,
Yeah, and the value of it's
that sort of thing.
The value of it's really, there's not much to be said. If I took your wallet out and grabbed $1, it's as much as being a thief is stealing 100. Yeah, and so I'm guilty of that. I've stolen like pens and candy from stores as a kid as well. And so my ultimate though is that if there is justice, if there is good, then and if there is a good God, right, and he's the definition of good, then we're accountable to that, and we're not perfect.
I guess, yeah.
And then if God's good, he punishes evil. I think you would be an evil person if you didn't punish evil. And
I didn't.
It's
not my place to say.
Let's say a judge just says to a murderer, I know you murdered someone. I'm just going to let you go today. That wouldn't be a just judge if he just let the murderer go. No.
Yeah, but if that was true, then why is Kavanaugh in a Supreme Court justice? In my opinion, he has no respect for women. Same with Trump. I mean, we've got him on tape saying horrible things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do people vote him out? Why do they just turn his back on these kind of people?
I would definitely.
Christians, they would.
I would definitely.
Not if they don't.
I would definitely
if they
say.
Follow Trump, they're not Christians, in my opinion. Yeah, I think that's pretty much. I just can't understand why that. How can they justify that? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely some pride issues for sure, and like you said, none of us are perfect, and
That's true. That's true. I will say none of us, and me, and it doesn't matter what side of the fence, the political fence you're on, you're not perfect. Yeah, but come on, these guys that are in charge now, they're not Christians. They don't do it. The only thing that motivates Trump is his pocketbook. That's it. Period. Yeah, I believe that.
So if none of our
emphatically, yeah.
So if none of us are perfect, and if there is a if there is a good
Okay.
oh, that's all good. If there is a good, and there's none of us are perfect, and if there is an afterlife and there is a God, then how are we gonna are we going to heaven or are we going to hell?
I'm not sure, but I know that I'm confused by the whole thing, that how somebody can claim to be a Christian and then support Trump. I just don't understand that.
Yeah, and I would say apart from that, like in terms of just being a Christian and actually having a moral basis, like if there is good.
Before I get sidetracked, I want to say one thing. So a perfect example is the kids that are down in the border prisons. They're in prison. They did nothing wrong. They're only trying to make a better life for themselves. And he's putting little kids in prison. That just is wrong. That's wrong. It's despicable. And I cannot believe anybody that says they're a Christian would support that. That just...
Yeah, the moral failings...
I turn my back on everything he does. Everything.
The moral failings of people in general, I would say, is just an indicative of what the Bible already says, and that's we're all sinners. We've fallen short of the glory of God, and that we're in need of a Savior. Do you know what God did for guilty sinners?
Well, I don't know. I just am so upset about all of this. And I think everybody here is. And many more that are embarrassed to be here. They won't, it's sort of like sticking your neck out, Being here, it's embarrassing to some people. But I'm so mad, I don't give a damn, or excuse me, I just don't care. I'm not worried about if somebody thinks they're gonna laugh, whatever, go ahead and laugh, and just very, very upset about what's going on.
Yeah, so ultimately, just giving like a worldview and an answer to the question of if like we're talking about justice, moral goodness, uprightness, and like whether it's climate change or politics or...
I'm here to protest number one, what Trump's done, what he keeps doing over and over and over again. And I want a clean environment. I want to be able to have public land to recreate on.
Well,
I think it's wrong for him to try to take that away from all Americans. It's all of ours. It's not just his.
Well, let me give you a moral justification for that, in that, and just get your thoughts on this. So you've probably heard that Jesus died on the cross, right?
I've heard, but every person that I see the ones that speak the loudest are the biggest liars. Is what I've found. They're
hypocrites.
Liars. They're liars.
Yeah, and
Full of it.
I definitely would say I'm a hypocrite, and ultimately, what I was just gonna say.
I don't know you that well.
No, I would just say I'm not following any moral rightness perfectly. I'm not a perfect person, and that's like if we're in a courtroom, this is what and this is like the meaningful justification even for doing stuff like this. And I want to give that to you is that like Jesus lived the perfect life we couldn't, and that and if God's good and He's going to judge us at the end of our life, and if He's moral and good, that He has to punish evil, and that Jesus lived the perfect life and didn't break any of the laws, actually held righteousness perfectly, was the only one to do it, and that if we just turn to Him and trust in Him and His life and His righteousness and His death and resurrection, and not our own anymore, it's kind of like putting on a parachute as the plane's going down. Instead of believing in a parachute, you put it on, and that you just trust in Him, and He gives you a new heart with new desires. And then we can be out here and saying, man, we have to care about this stuff because God has said so. And that's an authority that transcends us and our opinions and actually goes further. Does that make sense?
Well, I think lately people seem to only care about themselves. They only care about their pocketbook, what's in their bank account. And there's more to life than that.
Well, thanks for talking with me. I appreciate that. I'll let you get back to it. Definitely taking up a lot of your time. Oh, man, I appreciate this conversation so much. Thank you. Thank you
I'd
for
appreciate
discussing.
it if you wouldn't